This is a homework help video for lesson 2.9, and this is, of course, the attachment to your notes, and then I'll do a few problems from the textbook as well. So I thought I'd start here with number 5, and number 5, adjust my screen. We're looking at this figure here at the top, and like we did in class, we want to see if there are parallel lines, which ones are parallel based on the fact that we're given this information in the first column. So number 1, we're given that angle 10 and angle 15 are congruent. So looking over here at our figure, 10 and 15 are considered alternate interior around the transversal M. So this transversal is cutting through lines J and K. So we would say that this proves that J and K are parallel. And again, the converse would be the alternate interior angles converse. Letter B, we're told that 14 and 18 are supplementary. 14 and 18 are consecutive interior along this transversal J for lines M and N. So that would prove that M is parallel to N since we have this transversal that cuts through both, and we're told that these two angles are supplementary, and that is the consecutive interior angles converse. Letter C, we're told that angle 4 is congruent to angle 20. 4 and 20. So here's 4, here's 20. So they lie on this transversal labeled as K. They would be considered corresponding for lines L and N. So that proves that L is parallel to N, and our converse would be corresponding. 3 is congruent. I'll just make this a little different looking L. 3 is congruent to 16. 3 and 16 are congruent, so they are alternate exterior for lines L and M being sliced by transversal K. So this proves that L is parallel to M, and those would be alternate exterior. Well, that's our converse for letter D. Letter E, 10 is congruent to 12. All right, so 10 and 12 are on the same transversal M, cutting through lines J and K. So that tells us that J and K are parallel to each other, and 10 and 12 are corresponding angles. So that's our converse. Corresponding angles. All right, 7 and 19 are supplementary, 7 and 19, and they are on the transversal K, cutting through lines L and N. So that proves that L is parallel to N. And these would be considered consecutive interior angles. Consecutive interior is our converse. All right, letter G, 6 and 17 are congruent. They are on this same transversal J, and J is cutting through L and N, so that proves that L and N, again, are parallel. And that would be, those are considered alternate interior angles. All right. 9 and 24. 9 and 24 are congruent. So 9 and 24 are not on the same transversal. Therefore, we can't make any angle pair relationships. So letter H would be an example of that does not prove that any lines are parallel. Letter I, 2 and 21. 2 and 21 are they're on opposite sides of transversal J, cutting through lines L and N. So here we are again, L is parallel to N, and 2 and 21 would be alternate exterior for transversal J. Alternate exterior angles would be the converse. All right, 3 and 7 are supplementary. Well, that's true because this would be considered a linear pair, but that does not prove that any lines are parallel. So I'm just going to say none. That particular statement is a true statement, but it does not prove parallel lines. All right, and then from here on, I'll be going back and forth so I can see the figure. So 6 and 11 are congruent. So let me scroll just up a little bit. 6 and 11, not on the same transversal. So this is another case where nothing is proven as far as parallel lines go. So letter K is also going to be none. Then 1 is congruent to 3. So let's go back up so I can see 1 and 3. 1 and 3 lie on transversal L, cutting through lines J and K. So that proves that J and K are parallel, and 1 and 3 are corresponding. So J is parallel to K, and our converse is corresponding angles. All right, let's see, letter M, 12 and 15 are congruent. So let's see what 12 and 15, well, they're vertical angles, but that does not prove that lines are parallel. So once again, we're just going to say none for letter M. Letter N, we have supplementary angles for 13 and 16. 13 and 16 are supplementary. They're on the same transversal M. So that's going to prove that J and K are parallel, and they are consecutive exterior angles. So J and K are parallel, and our converse is consecutive exterior angles. And then finally, we're told that 15 and 18 are congruent. Well, they are not on the same transversal, so we can't make a linear pair or an angle pair relationship with those. So again, we're going to have to say that this statement does not prove any lines are parallel. All right, and then I've chosen a couple more on this handout. I'm going to jump down to the last two, 12 and 13, and then I'll do the ones in your textbook. So number 12, we have these two lines, at least we think they're parallel. These two lines here, looks like they are parallel. I guess we can, we're assuming that they are so that we can, well, L and M. And then we're noticing that they're cut by this transversal. The transversal that we want to look at is the one that both of these angles are on. And kind of have to be careful here, I guess, because again, this gets a little confusing when there's two different transversals. But L and M cut by a transversal makes this angle, and then it also makes this angle, which would be corresponding. And so corresponding angles, we've learned that they are congruent. So I need to make 5x plus 87. We're trying to solve for x. 5x plus 87 is going to be equal to 10x plus 17. And then we can solve for x. Subtract 5x from both sides, subtract 17 from both sides, and then divide by 5. And our solution for x is 14. And then our converse Converse is going to be corresponding angles. Okay, over here, this one I thought was a little tricky at first, but we have L and M, and we actually have a couple of transversals, 3 as a matter of fact, but this one really doesn't come into play. So let's take a look first of all at this transversal. Okay, so that creates, we could say that we have alternate interior. If you look on either side of that blue line, we have alternate interior angles. The problem is, okay, so this angle measured at 28x degrees is alternate interior with this angle. And the problem is on the outset, we don't know right off the bat what this is. Well, jumping over here and looking at this transversal, we know that these have to be alternate interior. So this angle, if these are alternate interior, this also must be 48 degrees. All right, so now we can set these two up to equal each other. The 28x can equal these two added together. So this angle is alternate interior with this one, 16x plus 48. And then you subtract 16x from both sides, 12x is 48. And so x is going to be 4, that's our solution for x. And then our final solution here, we basically used alternate interior 2 different times, but to get our final answer, that was the alternate interior angles converse. All right, now let's jump over to the problems in your textbook. Okay, I'm going to do 8 through 15 on page 190, and we're looking at this figure here in the top right corner. So let's get started with angles 1 and 2. Angles 1 and 2 are on the same transversal. Here's our transversal U, and it's cutting through lines R and S. So that's going to prove, the answer is going to be very much like what we had before. Let me change color here. So this proves that R is parallel to S, and you have to state the converse again, so that would be corresponding angles. Converse. Okay, and I'll just erase these marks as we go. So 2 and 9 are congruent. So 2 and 9, let's get a picture because it can get a little confusing when you've got multiple transversals. So it looks like we have parallel lines, or we think they're parallel, U and V, and 2 and 9 are on this transversal S. Missed that pretty bad. I'll try to do that better. All right, so highlighting it like this, redrawing and highlighting may help. But on transversal S, 2 and 9 are going to be alternate exterior angles. So that would prove that U and V, change back to blue, U and V are parallel. And then again, it's alternate exterior angles would be our converse. All right. Erase this. Let's take a look at the next one. 5 and 7 are congruent, angles 5 and 7. Let me go ahead and draw our transversal. So 5 and 7 are on either side of transversal V, cutting through R and S. Terrible lines. All right, so that kind of highlights where they are. They are alternate interior on either side of that transversal. And so that's going to prove that R and S are parallel. And again, that's going to be alternate interior angles, converse. Okay. 7 and 8 are supplementary. All right, so they are on this transversal V, and V cuts through R and S. So once again, we're proving that R and S are parallel. And they are supplementary, we're told, and they're also consecutive interior. So that's going to be our converse, consecutive interior angles. All right, number 12. Given that 3 and 6 are supplementary, 3 and 6, so here's our transversal that 3 and 6 are on. And here's the two lines that it looks like are parallel. They must be, since 3 and 6 are supplementary, and they're also considered to be consecutive interior. So we would say that U and V are parallel. And again, that's going to be consecutive interior angles, converse. All right, let's take a look at the next slide. So for number 13, we have angles 3 and 5 are congruent. All right, so here's 3, here's 5. They lie on opposite sides of transversal S. And transversal S is cutting through lines U and V. So that proves that U and V are parallel. And 3 and 5 are considered to be alternate interior angles, and that's our converse. 14, it was a little tricky when I first saw it. So maybe you ran into the same deal here. So we're told that 3 and 7 are congruent. So here's angle 3, and here's angle 7. And on the outset, it almost looked like that these would be corresponding angles for R and S. But technically, to be corresponding, it would have to involve transversal T. All right, so this would actually be the angles that would be corresponding. And since we don't know for sure what this is, this missing angle measurement, we can't say for sure that the actual corresponding angle would be congruent. All right, 3 and 7 would not be considered corresponding. We'd have to include this whole angle. And therefore, since we have a missing piece, and that works either way, if you went with transversal V intersecting R and S, we would have the same problem here. We just don't know. We can't make that corresponding angle unless we know what that missing angle measurement is. So this is actually going to be none. Knowing that 3 is congruent to 7 doesn't help us because we can't say for sure that the corresponding angles are congruent without knowing what these measurements are. All right, so kind of tricky, I guess. A good problem. And then number 15, 4 and 5. 4 and 5 are on transversal V, cutting through lines R and S. So R is going to be parallel to S, and 4 and 5 would be corresponding angles. That's our converse. All right, so that's a good chunk of your homework assignment, and I hope that helps you out with the rest. If you do have any other questions about the other problems, you're always welcome to email me or come see me in academic support. I will see you next time.